code editor, Visual Studio Code, and we will be talking about functions now. This is our next unit. We will be talking about functions, strings, and iterations. Iterations we have already covered. We will have a revisit to that once again later after we are done with functions and strings, right? So the first point, functions, as you guys correctly pointed out, the main purpose of using functions in programs are for code reusability, right? So if you want a particular block or a particular task to be executed again and again, you put it in a single unit and call that particular unit whenever and wherever you want, right? So that is the entire idea of functions. All right, now coming to the definition part, right? So how do you define a function? We all know how to define a function because from our first program onwards, we are kind of using a function called as main. How do you define a function, guys? Tell me the syntax.
Def function name and then brackets. If there's an argument, you have to put it there.
Yeah, def function name, and then you put a parenthesis like this, right?
And semicolon. Semicolon.
Yeah, and a colon, right?
Colon, sorry.
Yeah, so you put a colon, and then if you have any parameters or arguments, you pass in here, right? And if you have multiple parameters, you pass in or delimit them using commas. All right. So this basically is the definition of a function. So it starts with the keyword def, followed by the function name, followed by parenthesis, and you pass any parameters over here, right? And then your code block, function code block begins, right? Hence you put a colon, and then you write whatever you want or do a particular task. Right, so this I am just showing the definition in REPL, right? We will see a complete program through the editor very soon, right? And to call a function, what you do? You just say the name of the function, right? That's it. And if you have any arguments, right, you specify those particular arguments as specified in the definition. So that is how you call the function, right? So how many, irrespective of how many times you call the function, even if it is a single statement or multiple statements, all those particular statements will be executed. So this basically is the idea for using functions in Python, right? Now that we have seen the function need and the definition, how to define function in Python, right? Now, yeah, let us talk about the main function, right? Before we see further concepts or aspects related to functions in Python, right? So just as a refresher or a recall, right? So this is the kind of template or syntax as a best practice we were following starting from the first program, right? With a check for if name is equal to main, and then what we are doing here, right? So this in fact is a function and a function call. So we have a function call here, and then we have a function definition here. All right. Okay, one more point before we proceed is like if you have the block, right? So here it is the if block. If you have a particular block, right, with just a single statement, right, that could be put in the same line as well. You can see many examples of Python code wherein if name is equal to main, the call to main goes in the same line, right? So this is also right, and this is also right. Okay, so far?
Yes, sir.
All right. Next point, point number 4, forward declarations. Now, what do you mean by forward declarations, guys? Let us understand this. Any guesswork?
Sir,
Okay.
does it have to do something like function prototypes or something?
Function prototype or something, it's partially kind of okay. So forward declarations are like you declare a particular, as you said, like function prototype, right? You call the function, right, and then define the function, right? If that is supported, that is called as forward declaration. And Python, out of the box by default, it doesn't support forward declarations. As you can see here, Here I am calling the function, right, in line number 5 and defining the function in line number 1, right? So this is not forward declaration, right? Maybe C++ guys, you would have known this particular aspect. You would have studied in your school, wherein like when you define a function, it something like it needs to be defined before it is called, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so function needs to be defined before it is called, right? So if it is the other way around, if you call the function and then define it, that is called as forward declaration, and forward declaration is not supported in Python. Okay, let me comment this and then say, for example, I call a function and then I define a function. Okay, let us follow the best practice. Let's always have this. All right, so we have defined the function here and then we are calling it, right? Now there is a kind of workaround, right, to this, right? If you use this explicitly, if you use this particular check, right, you can have forward declarations in Python. Am I confusing you? If things are clear, let me show you with an example. Okay, now say for example, I call a function. So within main, now I'm calling a function, right? And then I can define the function here. This is possible. If you have this particular check, right, forward declarations are possible. Once you enter into the main door, right, that is your main, right, you can have forward declarations. Okay, so guys, do you think this will work?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it should.
Yeah, it will work because, as I have said, it supports forward declarations if you use this conditional check. Otherwise, it will not support. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
Sir, why does it happen so, sir? Why does it that doing that supported?
Pardon?
Why does writing a if condition allow for forward declaration?
No, that is one of the functionality of this particular check. This has got three main advantages of, see, the first advantage is, as we have already seen, this ensures that this is your main executable unit. The second, making use of this, right, ensures that, or if you do not make use of this, that essentially means that this is a module that is going to be used in some other program, right? So that is the second use. And the third use of this particular check is, right, it supports forward declarations.
Okay, sir.
Right, so there are three main uses to this particular check. All
So
are
what is
clear?
the use, sir?
Pardon?
What was the use of the main check? Like, if condition, I didn't get it clearly.
Yeah, the main use of this particular check is, this check ensures that you can call a function and then define it, number one. Number two, this condition also ensures that this program, test.py, is the current or main executable program that you wish to run, right? Third is, if you do not use this, right, the intention of this particular file is to be used as a module in some other program. Hope that makes sense.
Oh, okay, sir. Clear.
Yeah. Any other questions on this forward declarations?
Sir, if we use that A parenthesis, no, sir, and defining A print hello outside the define main function, then it won't work. Is this right, sir? Is this statement right?
I am not very clear. Come again with your question.
Like if we use the define a parenthesis print hello, this statement outside the define main function, sir, like outside the if underscore underscore name, will the output be hello or
Yeah, it will work. See, this basically is a check or a good practice that you give. But even if you have outside the main function, if you write whatever you want, that line is going to be executed. That will work. Okay.
okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so that was forward declarations. Next point, point number 5 here, as per this text file, it returns a value. Please remember, right? All function, whatever function you write, it returns a value. Okay, so what do you mean by all functions returns a value? In this particular example, as you see, you are not explicitly returning any value and all. So what does that mean?
It returns none, sir.
It returns none. Yeah, so that is the thing. So for example, here in this define A, I just print hello, right? I'm not returning anything, right? So that means it returns none, right? To prove that, say for example, let me store this in a variable called as x, and if I print x, what do you think x will be?
None.
Sir.
X will be, yeah, none, but hello and none, right? Since A is getting called, so hello is going to be printed, and then since you are returning that, we are just checking it, right? So we do not have
Yes.
any explicit return, so it is going to give you none, right? So we have hello and none. So all functions return a value, and if you do not explicitly return anything, it is going to be none. And how do you return from a particular function, right? Make use of the keyword return. So for example, if I want to return this, right, I just make use of the keyword return. I just say return hello, right? So in this particular case, probably I don't want this. If I just do this, what will be the answer? It returns hello here, right? So nothing is going to be printed, right? So hello is returned to this particular place, right? And if I print this or save it in a variable and print whatever, what is the answer now, guys?
Hello.
It is hello. Okay, so please remember this, all functions in Python return a value.
So can you say if there is no return type, like what is it going to return?
Pardon?
If there is no return in the code.
Yeah, if there is no return in the code, that basically means the return type is null.
Okay.
If I just say print hello, and if I do that, right, it says hello none. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Sir, a small doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you say the accurate meaning of return here in like in programming in Python, sir? I'm not getting. I'm confused with the return keyword.
See, return basically is a keyword that is used in a function call or in functions wherein you define the value or you specify a particular value that is to go back to the caller from the definition.
Okay, sir. Then
Okay.
why none is coming here, sir? Because the already
Because you are not explicitly returning anything, and as every function returns a value, if you do not return anything, it returns none back to the caller.
okay. Okay, sir. Got it. Thanks.
All right. So if you do something like this, this basically means after after all the statements are executed, if any, before this particular return statement, and when this particular statement is encountered, this particular definition will return this particular value, in this case hello. This will be returned back to the caller. Who is the caller here? This is the caller.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah.
if name is double equal to main, is it like the ending sentence of the main function, or like is it
No.
just a sentence in the just a sentence? Is it the ending sentence, or is it just a sentence?
It's a conditional check.
Like it should be in the at the end only, sir.
You can put it wherever you want, but this makes the code more readable. And every good Python programs, if you see terminal programs, it is this way. So that, okay, this is your starting entry point to the particular program, and you trace the program from this point onwards. You call main, and everything is inside main.
Oh, okay, sir.
Yeah.
So if I write def that definition after the main also, like it will work, so that function will work. Like if I call before the if the condition check, and if I like define it after the main, will it work, sir?
You mean this way? You mean this way?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you call it and then define it. But since you have this particular conditional check, this should work. But it says main is not defined, right? Your point is right. So even if you have this as the first sentence, right, forward declarations are kind of supported or not supported.
Okay, sir. Okay.
But they should work, no, sir. Like,
Pardon? See, as I have said, by default, out of the box, forward declarations are not supported. Am I clear, or any doubts?
Okay.
Right. See, as you can see here, you see if name is equal to main, you are calling main. So forward declarations in this particular case is not supported. Any doubts on this? Shall we continue?
Okay, sir.
All right. So forward declarations are not supported, and if you want a forward declaration to be supported, right, you first of all get into the door, or you get into the main function, and then you can do a forward declaration. So I get into the door, right, and then do a forward declaration. So I get into this particular door here now, right, and after I enter the program, or you enter the room or house, whatever you call, right, think of this like the main entry door to your house, right. So after you enter your main house, right, you can have forward declarations in it. Okay, so that was point number.
Sir, I have
Yeah.
a doubt in that code, sir. Can you show
Yeah.
it? So first we are calling main.
Yeah.
So first I'm going to main. In main I'm calling A. Definitely.
Yeah.
At the time Python interpreter don't even know what is A, right, sir? If this is the flow of execution,
Yeah,
it calls A. At the time
Correct.
Python interpreter don't know what is A, right? So it should throw an error.
It should throw an error, but it will not, because that is how this logic works. If you have this particular check, and once you enter main, right, the entire definition will be stored in memory beforehand.
What memory, sir? Exactly.
The entire definition, this particular definition will be stored in memory.
Okay.
Right. So let us do a trace. See, for example, this condition is true, right? you are calling main, and main is already defined in advance, right? So what essentially will happen is the state of this entire thing is saved in memory, right? Hence this will get executed.
Okay, sir.
All right. But otherwise, if you do not have this particular kind of logic, right? If you try to call a function and then define it, it says like the function is not defined. So this is a kind of workaround for that.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is forward declaration. So Python does not support forward declarations by default, right? The workaround for this is to have your if name is equal to main, and then you enter into the main function, and then you can have forward declarations. And all functions in Python returns a value, and if a function does not return a value, by default it is none type. Next, let us talk about arguments or parameters to the function, right? So functions can accept parameters or arguments, right? It can accept a value or it can accept a variable. Let us see an example. Say I have A, and let me print something. Let me have a variable X here, right? And then let me call this function, right? And say pass 1, right? So in this particular case, what I'm doing is I am passing an integer value 1, right, to this particular function. And if I print X, what is going to be printed?
1.
Yeah. So this is passing a value, right? So you can either pass a value, right, or let's say this is Y, right? Or a variable also, right? So variable Y is going to be passed here, right? So the value of Y is 10, so 10 is going to be passed here, and that particular value is going to be printed here, right? So this is a local variable. We already talked about local and global variables already, right? So this is a local variable. So this particular local variable is now going to be printed. So what is the answer here?
10, sir.
Okay. All right, so that was the first point. You can either pass values or you can pass variables. You can also pass multiple values or multiple variables delimited by comma. Okay, so if you have multiple values, say 1, 2, 3, and say 4.5, and then say a string, right? You can pass all these values, and here I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me say it as A, B, C, D, E, right? And print A, B, C, D, right? All right. So if you want to pass multiple values, you separate it with a comma. So these could be either values. Again, these could be variables. So far, so good, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now the next point is you can also call functions with named arguments and values, right? What do you mean by that? Say I have X comma Y, right? And if I print X and Y, right? I can do a explicit call this way also. I can say X equal to 20, comma Y equal to 30. Right? So this is the concept of calling functions named arguments and values, right? So named arguments are x and y, right? I use those particular names and associate or assign an appropriate value and then pass it around. All right. So this is also okay. Okay, now the advantage is depending upon your usage or your problem to be solved, right? In fact, you can reverse this particular arguments if you want. If I say y is equal to 20 and x is equal to 30, although the answer is going to be 50, right? This is also possible. Okay, answer is 30, 20. We are not doing an addition. It is going to be 50 if it is an addition. Got it, guys?
Sir, we are assigning
Yeah.
a default value to the x and y. That's it, no, sir.
No, you are not. This has nothing to do with default values.
Okay. Okay. Okay, sir.
How do you say it is a default value for x and y?
No, sir, but
It is not a default value.
okay, sir. I understood it wrong. Thank you.
This is
Okay.
keyword arguments, right, sir?
These are kind of keyword, but it is not exact. It is not keyword arguments. No, it is named arguments. Whatever name you give to these particular arguments, you can make use of these particular names in the call to the function and give it appropriate values. These are not keyword arguments.
So how keyword arguments differ from this?
We will look into keyword arguments later. When we look into keyword arguments, you can have a mapping with this.
Okay, sir.
Keyword arguments are essentially a concept wherein you can give multiple arguments, variable number of arguments. Okay, all others clear? Any doubts on this?
No, sir.
So these
Okay, so-
definitions will make it as default arguments, sir.
Pardon?
So the last definition you wrote will make it as a default argument, right?
The last definition. Can you be clear with your question, please?
No, sir. Does this mean this has default arguments?
This does not have any default argument, right? This expects two parameters, right?
Oh, okay, okay,
Now,
okay. That's function call. Okay. So we can assign the variables in the function call itself.
default arguments, I do not give anything, right? Nothing is accepted as a default.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay.
Got it, sir. Got it.
All right. So that is called to functions with named arguments and values. Now coming to the concept of passing less arguments than required, what will happen? Let us see that. Say I have two arguments, say 10 and 20, or say 20 and 30, right? Let me have one more, say 20, 30, 40, right? Now, if I pass, or if I have defined it with three parameters, say x, y, and z, or x, y, and z, and pass two arguments, right? What do you think will happen?
Error.
Going to be an error, right? So you have defined three arguments or parameters, but you are passing two values, right? So this is a error, right? Even if you don't pass anything, it is an error, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you pass more values, what do you think will happen?
Error only, sir.
Right? So number of parameters is 3, but the number of parameters that you pass is different. So in that particular case, it is an error, right? Now, if you now say, for example, y is equal to 20, or say y equal to 200 and z equal to 400. Right? Now this is the concept of default argument. Right? Now again you have got three parameters defined, right? But say example, you are passing only one argument, right? In this case, although you are passing only one argument, right, and the function expects three arguments, right, this is not an error because you have the defaults specified here. This is how you specify the defaults. Okay, guys?
Okay, got it, sir.
Sir, I have a small doubt.
Yeah.
You said the arguments can be either values or variables. So,
Correct.
we can get the variable value from the user also, right? Like x equal.
You can get the variable. Yes. This
That
20
can be
you can
done.
get it from the user. Yeah, and pass in that here. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. All right. So these are default arguments, right? Now, one thing you need to remember with default arguments are, or one thing that you need to remember is, right? Your default argument list should be always after your non-default argument. All right. Say for example, if I have this as 300, right, and if I have this as a non-default argument, right, this is not allowed. Okay, guys.
So the value of a, which is given as 20, goes to x, no, sir?
There is no a here. A is a function
Okay.
call.
Okay, the 20 value is taken by the x, no, sir?
20 value is taken by x, correct.
The y, there's no default value.
No. See this. It is a syntax error. If you have a default value before your non-default argument, it is an error.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so your entire default argument list should be after your non-default argument list.
Okay, sir, got it.
Yeah. So that was about default arguments and passing less arguments than required, right? And as I've said, your non-default arguments must be before your default arguments, right? Now let us understand another important concept, right? Call by value and call by reference. So before we talk about this, right, I would like C++ guys to tell me the answer with respect to what you have understood for the call by value and call by reference.
So call by value is actually passing the value to the function call, and call by reference
Okay.
will create a alias when we evoke the function.
Correct. Any other interpretation? Okay, so let me first, somebody is trying to say an answer.
Sir, call
Yeah.
by value actually just copies the value.
Okay.
And, call by reference actually changes the value also.
Changes the value also. Okay, correct. Absolutely right. Yeah, so your definition was with respect to any programming language like C or C++?
Sir, I had Java in school.
Okay.
So it was
All
there.
right.
I was taught call by
Okay.
value and call by reference.
Okay, so in Java, whether function calls or by value or by reference or by both?
You can, both are supported, sir.
Both are supported. All right. In Python also, both are supported. You can call by value and call by reference, right? So as you correctly said, right? Call by value, what you essentially do is, whenever you pass a parameter or whenever you pass a parameter that is either a value or a variable, right? That parameter is essentially copied, or you take a copy of that particular value and pass it to your function. Right, so that is call by value. And call by reference, right, that means that you pass an object, right? So if there is a change in that particular object's state, the change is reflected globally as well. Whereas that particular change is not reflected globally in this particular case, call by value. This is the definition, or this is the meaning of call by value and call by reference. So let us understand this with an example here, how call by value and call by reference works, right? So Python basically supports kind of both. Let us see an example. So I have A20 here. So let me call it with one value 20, and let me have an X here, and let me print X here. So here, what is the answer first of all?
20.
It is 20, right? Now this is call by value or call by reference? 20 is passed here.
Value.
It is call by value. So what essentially happens is when this is passed here, a copy of 20 is taken, right? And that copy is passed here, right? And you are printing the value of that particular copy. So that is call by value, right? Now coming to the state change aspect so that we can have a differentiation with the call by reference kind of thing, right? Let me now print the value of this 20 here. So for that, let me have this 20 in a variable called as say A. So A is equal to 20, say for example, right? And let me pass, okay, the function name is also A, so let me call this as B, and let me pass B, right? So now if you run the program, it is the same thing, right? You are passing the variable, right? Now the point here is, if I print B after this function call, what is the value of B now?
20.
20, right? So you get 20 and 20. Okay, now coming inside the function, say for example, now if I say x is equal to 40, right? What is the answer now?
20, 40.
40 and 20.
It is 40 and 20, right? Understood? So this is call by value. So call by value, the state is not globally affected. So the local copy gets its own state, right? So the value of B, which is 20, right? A copy is taken, it is passed over here, right? That copy's value is changed to the value 40, and that is printed, which is 40 here. And then you print B, right? So B is 20 here. So the state is unaffected. Clear, guys? This is call by value.
Sir, can you explain just one more time?
Yeah. See, call by value essentially means you pass a copy of the value to the function. So if B is being passed here, right? A copy of B is passed to this place, right? And whatever you do with the copy is reflected here only. That value is not reflected to this global part. So as you can see here, in this particular example, B is passed here. B is having a value 20. A copy of 20 is taken. A copy of 20 is passed to X. So X has the value 20. Right? Now X value, which is 20, is changed to 40, and that value is printed. Right? And after that, when the control returns back to this particular place, right, it executes the next statement and you print B, right? Now when you print B, 20 is printed and not 40. So that is call by value. So call by reference is the state changes, right? Now, what kind of data types in Python allows for state change, right? So please remember, whenever you operate on immutable types, right, it is called by value, and whenever you operate on mutable types, it is called by reference, right? So let us see that here. So what is the type here? What is the type of B, guys? What is the type of B?
Integer.
Integer is mutable or immutable?
Immutable.
Integer is immutable. So any type that is immutable, it is called by value. This is what you need to keep in mind, right? And any type that is mutable, right, that is called by reference. Now that we have seen call by value, right, now let us have a mutable type and see call by reference, right? Now say this integer is immutable. Let us make this integer to a list, right? And let us have this 20 again within this, or you can have more numbers, right? So now you have B, which is a list, right? And then you are calling B here, right? And you are printing B here. And let me come down here, and inside this, let me modify the first element. Since I have got only one element, so let me modify the first element. Let's again say 40 and print X. Now, what do you think the output will be now? As per the definition, I said mutable types, when it is passed, they are called by reference, and this is a mutable type. So what is the output here, guys?
40, 40.
It is 40, 40, right? So this is called by reference, right? If you don't want the square parenthesis, just 40 and 40, what can you do? You can have this B of 0, right? And you can print this as X of 0. Alright, so call by value and call by reference, right? So I repeat, call by value, you pass in or take a copy of the value and then pass it to the defined function. And call by reference, right? The object is passed, right? So that whenever a change occurs within the function, it is also reflected outside of the function. That is called by reference. Point number 2, immutable types are all called by value in Python. Mutable types are called by reference in Python.
Sir, so unlike C or C++, where we can use pointers to call by reference even integers, we can't do that in Python, sir.
You don't have pointers in Python.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah.
without list we cannot do this, huh?
Without
using list.
Without using list, you cannot do this. Means I did not get you.
Sir, why can we pass just the integer alone, sir? Why we have to use?
That is what we have seen. When we pass the integer alone, it is called by value. To pass the integer
Yes.
alone.
Yes, sir.
Pass the
Like
integer alone, it is not globally affected since it is immutable.
Sir, then we can
Correct.
use dictionary also, sir.
Dictionary is immutable or mutable?
Mutable.
Then the state will change.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that was point number 13, call by value. Point number 14, let us talk about variable number of arguments, right? Or var args. In some other languages, they are supported using the keyword variadics and other thing, right? In Python, we have a notation, but don't get confused, right? The notation is a pointer notation, but it has nothing to do with pointer arithmetic, right? So let us see that. Okay, so let me have this function and let me now pass say 10 and okay, now if it is a of x and print x, what is the output? It is 10, right? Now if I do a star x here, now this is called as variable number of arguments supported in Python, right? Now if you do a star x in the definition, you can pass as many variables as you want, right? Now you can pass say 10, 20, 30. Okay. So, and then you can print that.
Will it be taken as a list, sir, or a tuple?
It's a tuple. So you can either do it this way, or as you have rightly asked, whether it will be taken as a list or a tuple. Let us understand that as well. So you see the type of X. Okay. What does it say? 10, 20, 30. In case, guys, you are printing the type of X and it says 10, 20, 30. But essentially, this X, as you said, like list or tuple, it is a tuple, right? And since it is a tuple, you can have it this way also. You can have it, or you can have a for loop. So for I in X, you can print I. All right. Here, guys, any questions?
Why is it printing in the same line? It should print in the next line, right?
We are not calling the function, no, sir.
You're not calling the function? Yeah, you're not calling the function. Correct. You're not calling the function. You're just printing 10, 20, 30. That is getting printed, right? And so this print type of X as a tuple, it's also not getting printed. So what should be here?
A of
Print
A,
Okay. So
A 10, 20, 30.
just A. Okay. So if it is just 10, 20, 30, right? So you can see it's a class tuple, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now you can have this as a variable also. So if I do this, right? Now if you do this, right, you need to have this notation as well in the caller. Right? This is also possible. Whenever you make use of a variable, right, for your variable number of arguments, in the caller, right, you specify star. What do you think will happen if you just specify X?
there is no need of star, right? It's one.
Pardon?
There's no need of star, right, sir? Before you mention star, there's no need of star because
Okay.
it's one tuple.
It's a tuple. Okay. But then if you want to print 10, 20, 30, how do you print it without this parenthesis?
We have to use a for loop.
No, you have used a for loop, right?
What is
You have
it?
used a for loop.
Okay.
Pardon?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have used a for loop and you are printing I.
So take the star in the A definition.
Okay. You mean this way?
No, sir. Take the star in the definition of the function.
Okay, you don't want the star?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Take that star.
And you want
No.
in the
remove-
caller also?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This class tuple 10, 20, 30.
This is what you asked me to print, right?
Correct. So you are able to print 10, 20, and 30. Correct. But this is not variable number of arguments, right? Is this variable number of arguments?
It's one argument, one tuple.
One argument, yeah. So if I say 10, 20 here, right? Will this work?
It won't.
Oh. And if I put a star X here, what will happen? What do you think will be the answer?
It will work.
Okay? Got it, guys? Any doubts? See the difference? 10, 20, 30, this parenthesis is now here, right? When you put a star X, right? This 10, 20, 30 doesn't have the parenthesis representing that it's a tuple. It just prints the values, right? Hence, whenever you make use of variable number of arguments, right? In this fashion, in the caller also you specify star X.
Sir, why it doesn't print parenthesis in the second case? I can't understand it.
Why doesn't it print?
That what is the difference between the first output and the second output?
The first output is, if you don't have this in the caller, right, you will have the parenthesis printed as well.
Okay.
Okay, so if you just want to print the values, right, without the parenthesis representing that it's a tuple, you explicitly say it as star X.
So what is actually happening? Can you explain that?
No, when you want to have the values in the container printed in the definition, you pass star X. That is the notation.
Sir, so if you use star X in the function call also, it is not stored as a tuple and just taken as arguments by value.
Yeah, it is passed as arguments by value.
Okay.
If this is a tuple, if this was a list, it is passed as a reference.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, so that is variable number of arguments using star X. Now you also have, somebody earlier pointed out whether that is not keyword arguments. You have got keyword arguments. Let us look at that now. So keyword arguments are also the same concept. It supports, or you make use of keyword arguments for variable number of arguments, just that instead of storing it as a tuple, it stores it as a dictionary, right? And you represent that using star star rather than a single star. So let us see that with an example. So now that we have seen star X, okay, now let us see our named variables, right? Or keyword arguments, right? So keyword arguments are specified with this notation, star star X, right? And what you do here is you pass in a dictionary, right? Now you can pass in a dictionary. See, I will show you another way. You can also define a dictionary using name equal to value kind of thing. Earlier we have seen how to define a dictionary using our curly parentheses. You can also define a dictionary in this manner. Say for example, if I say S1 is equal to 200, right, comma S2 is equal to say 300, right? So this way also you can define a dictionary explicitly, right, and print that out. Right, it says S1 and S2. If you want the values also, what can you do? 200 and 300 here. Okay, before that, let me pass another now. Say S3 is equal to 400. Right, now this is going to give me S1, S2, S3. Right, if I now want the values as well, what I can do, I can probably do a.
Does dictionary support equal to operator? It should be coherent.
That's what I have said. You can make use of this also to create a new dictionary.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So here I say S1, S2, S3. And you can see, I can show you that. So you can have a new dictionary created using a dictionary constructor and pass in this syntax as well. So this is also supported, and curly braces are also supported. So here in this particular case, I'm creating a explicit dictionary called as B and passing in B here. Okay. Now, when this is a keyword argument, right? Just like with your star, right? If it is a keyword argument, right? You need to pass star star in the column. So this is also correct. Any doubts?
Sir, is all this in the book?
Should be there, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, so the other way is like you can create your normal dictionary in the other way also, that is also possible. So you can have this. All right, so this is also possible, but it says, okay, if you do it this way, right, you need to do that explicit star star, right? Both the ways are okay. All right, guys, so that is keyword arguments and variable number of arguments using star and star star. All right, so that was an introduction to functions in Python, right? Let us stop here and continue in the next class, wherein we'll talk about other functional support or other functional aspects in Python as well.